Commissioners. We're going to begin with a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending. I'd like to call for the roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Here.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Here.
Commissioner Algieri?
Here.
Commissioner Roderick?
Here.
Commissioner Poyer?
Here.
President Walk?
Here.
All present.
I'd like to acknowledge executive sessions which were held on 9/29/20 and also this evening at 5 o'clock and then again at 6 o'clock to discuss personnel and litigation. We begin with the department reports. John, code enforcement.
Okay, you have my written report. The only thing I have to add right now outside of the written report is I will be asking for a motion tonight to set the time and place for a public hearing for a conditional use application for a single family home within a special conservation district.
You're going to add that on as a motion?
Yes, requested, yes.
Well, then we'll talk about how that goes as far as logistics of that hearing during that motion. Okay, that's fine. Any questions of code enforcement from the commissioners? We move on to the engineer's report, and Eric, you're going to introduce John tonight? Can't hear you, Eric.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes, I just point out this will be my last meeting as providing the report as your engineer. John Mowry, who's going to be taking over for me. So I'm retiring at the end of the year, and John's president of the company. So he will be well versed in everything going on there, and already is for that matter. So the next meeting, I will attend, but I will listen in as John presents the report next month.
Okay, very good.
Just a couple things in my report this month. Just reiterate that the both contractors on the Force Main project are ready to go once we award the bids. The only other thing on my report that I'll point out is the road improvement project. Tresco is scheduled to start the project on Wednesday. We're going to have a mark everything up tomorrow, and he's planning to be out there on Wednesday. Other than that, if there are any questions on my report?
Any questions from the board? Thank you. Any comments, John?
No, sir. Thank you.
Ready. We move on. Sergeant Simba, police report.
Everybody should have a copy of my monthly report, correct?
Yep.
Hopefully I did it to the satisfaction of all you guys, but one thing I have to discuss that's not on a monthly report. So our IT company for our police department is, they notified us at the beginning of September they were going to no longer be in business at the end of September. So this week I'm going to have a couple meetings with other IT departments or companies to try to schedule them to come in-house and see what we could do to try to get a new IT company for the police department.
Question for you. Is that a different company than the office uses?
It is, yeah.
Is there a reason for that to be two different companies?
I don't know what Dave Davis specializes in. The company that we worked with, they worked with the federal government, the DOD, and a bunch of other police departments. So I'm not sure what Dave Davis's capabilities are. Our network's pretty complex for security and
Sure.
the report system and stuff like that. So I mean, if they can come in and give me an estimate, I'll be more than happy to contact them.
Well, that was just a curiosity. And okay. Any questions for Sergeant Simba from the board? We move on to Public Works. Paul Twaley.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On my report, today the I got the new COVID signs installed at the parks and fields that John had purchased. That was taken care of today. The leaves and brush drop-off points at the building, we have moved them to the side over by the bank. They're labeled. We have 2 bins for those. And the regular leaf and brush pickup will start on November the 2nd. Everybody's going to be getting a flyer on that. Joel's got that taken care of so far. And Penniman Drive, we're in the final stages of debris removal from the slide issue. We brought a machine in today, a much larger machine, and we got most of it out. Tomorrow morning, we should have the rest of it out, and I'm going to get a hold of Jesse to come back out and look at it again. But we got everything out that he wanted out, so I just want to double check before we get return the machine. So that project, hopefully by the end of the month, end of the week, this week, we should be ready to go with that.
Very good. Any questions from the board? I just have one. How's it coming with the salt shed scenario?
Everything's in process. We started moving the our stock that we had around the back of the building. Moved the leaf bin. Got the telephone poles out of the way. We just have to lay it out and dig for the footer.
Okay. You pretty much on schedule to get her under roof before the snowfall?
I hope to.
Yeah. Okay. It's not going to snow this year, by the way.
No, they canceled that too.
Any questions for Paul from the board? Move on to Solicitor Rakunas.
I have nothing to report other than the items that were discussed in executive session.
Thank you. We'll move on to Sanitary. Dennis Biani. Dennis, are you here? Do you see him, Joel?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, I think I'm on now.
You are.
Very good. Just pointing out a few highlights of our written report. We processed a total of 23.5 million gallons for the month of September, with an average daily flow of about 0.78 million gallons per day, far below normal with the dry conditions. We disposed of 126 gallons of sludge to McKeesport, and all effluent parameters were in compliance for the month. I can address any questions on the report.
I don't have any questions. Any other board members have any questions for Dennis? Thank you, Dennis. We'll move on to Office Manager Joelle.
I don't really have too much to report other than I want to remind the residents of the flu clinic on October 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. that Southeast Regional EMS will be doing at our municipal building. I also want to let the board know we are finally in the final stages of proofreading the updated business directory, and we're hoping to have those distributed to the community by the end of the year. It's just been a long process in making sure it's really accurate.
That's good to hear.
Unless you guys have any other questions.
Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll move on to committee reports. Do any of the committee chair like to be recognized at this point?
I'll address 2 things. The Comprehensive Plan Committee is scheduled to meet this Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. The agendas have been sent out to all the committee members, and we're finalizing that plan. So I'll have a report for the next, there's several meetings scheduled, so I'll let you know on that. And the Personnel Committee will meet regarding some of the stuff we talked about tonight as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rocco. Any other comments from committee chair? Okay, we move on to citizens to address agenda items. Joelle?
I have one citizen for agenda items. It's Carol Daly. So Carol, I'm going to unmute you and you can start your 3 minutes when you're ready, okay? You still have to hit unmute on your end.
Okay. All
There you
right.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. As a resident, I'm expected to pay taxes, but this isn't the government. This isn't your personal business where the taxpayers pay for the employees, the money projects, and for your mistakes. Without questioning it, every month an agenda pops up with items that makes one think this is crazy. Are you still, before I continue, are you still going to hire Greg Butler? Is that still on the agenda?
That motion's been pulled.
Well, then that ends that. I don't need to talk about that then. I'm done. That's good. I'm
Okay,
glad.
thank you.
Okay, now, the next item on here is, it's really a culmination of a lot of work that was done over the summer, and I'm not even going to pull the surprise out from underneath from Greg. So Greg, why don't you do the presentation here? I can't wait for this. This is neat.
Okay, thanks, President Kyle. I would like to introduce Jessica Grondland. So Jessica came to us in January, earlier in the year, to ask if there were opportunities for her graduate internship. And we developed an internship based on her major at Penn State, based around database management. So what she did was she worked for the Code Enforcement Department and took some time, actually several months, up until about a month ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, to complete this database of properties that she'll explain. So she's going to present it in its entirety. I just want to say up front, she did an incredibly great job. A little bit of guidance on my part, and she just took it away. She researched all the data, pulled it all together, made it look good, and made it look presentable and navigable. So Jess is going to briefly run through an introduction about blight and the effect it has on the community, and then she'll launch into the website that we built in our Esri GIS. Also, the presentation's done in GIS. And she's going to not include any data that might be confidential. So she's not actually going to enter any databases with any numerical or financial information about properties. So, but the idea being that once we presented this, we're going to provide a link for the commissioners to look at the data in more detail, and then have further discussions down the road to possibly include some of this information on our website for public viewing, so people can see the blight situation, perhaps maybe interested in some properties, things like that. That's a more long-term discussion. I will be bringing this up in the future once your plate's not as full. You guys have some big projects going on. So with that said, I'll introduce Jess, and she is going to try to keep the 5 or 10 minutes to respect your time. And then Joelle, if you don't mind letting Jess share her screen, and then unmute her, and I'll be out of the picture here.
Unmute her, and then how do I give her permission to share? Make her the host? Greg?
I'm sorry, you're the host, correct?
Right, so how do I give her share screen permission?
Hit share screen in the bottom center,
I see it.
and then there will be a list of participants.
Yep.
And then Jess, you'll have to accept.
Okay. It doesn't give me a chance to pick her. It says how many participants can share at the same time, who can share, who can start sharing when someone else is sharing.
Hey, Jess, do you have an option on your end?
Yeah, and when I click it, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, it's in the settings. Probably unintentional.
Here, Jess, try this.
Okay. It's doing something. It's just having me try and gain access to it.
I guess we should have rehearsed.
Yeah, you did not tell me that you were going to do this.
Sorry.
So sorry. Let me see. Let's see if it works now. Okay, I think I got it.
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Before I begin, I do just want to briefly say thank you for the opportunity to not only have this internship, but to present this internship. As Greg mentioned, I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet to respect your time. And as he said too, the commissioners will be getting links to all of this so they could continue to look at this in more detail. So I'm going to kind of just go over the brief summary of the whole project. So I'm going to start by showing just a brief overview of the properties in question. We actually have very close to 150 blighted properties in the township. So I'm just going to quickly scroll through here just so you could kind of see what we're dealing with, that some of these properties are definitely in a lot worse shape than other properties. So that is something to keep in mind as we're looking at what we're going to do with these properties. Some are able to be salvaged, some not so much. So just quickly going through some of the pictures that Greg and I have compiled throughout the years, throughout us starting to work together. So there are some vacant properties as well that have potential to be boosted in different ways. As you can see, some of these properties are very far gone.
And just, if I could interrupt real quick, just so the residents know, the only prerequisite for us to select these properties was property maintenance, the condition of the property, or perhaps the structure, or both. Also, most of them are tax delinquent. I think they all are to some extent. So if you see a property and you know the situation and you consider it not a problem property, we're not assuming it is. This was just a preliminary scan of the neighborhoods. And we haven't, when we just gathered information so that we can start to make decisions about how to move them and control them. That's all. I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that too. And throughout this, I know it's a whole bunch of information I'm trying to go through in a short period of time. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to tell me to pause and interrupt at any time. So that was just a quick overview of some of the photos that we have. Again, they'll be more detailed in the actual presentation. So we're starting with just the summary of blight. We actually started out with just a spreadsheet, but then realized that there were a lot of other properties that we didn't even think that we were going to have to add, but we ended up having to add them. So we switched from a spreadsheet to using the GIS system to create a whole site. So this is kind of just a summary of the site since the site is so large. And before we begin too, I just want to say that as me and Greg were working through this, we have, as Greg said, the properties that were just kind of a starting point, and then all the solutions that are suggested are totally unbiased solutions. We're not trying to push a certain solution either way. This is just straight information that we found. So throughout the summer, mostly Greg and I worked together, and as I said, we realized that there were a large number of properties than originally anticipated. So I created the spreadsheet database, and then there is a ton of information on the database that I will get to later as I go through the website. We came up with a lot of different types of solutions, and we priced out these solutions so we could try and figure out what solution works best for each individual property. And as Greg kind of hinted towards, this is not just a one-time introduction to it. We need to continue to focus on these properties, and there's a lot of other steps that need to come. So then we continue on with what is blight, and this is a term that is used to describe properties that are not only unsightly, but often unsafe, and this can apply to structures and vacant lands. There's a lot of different things that can be categorized as blight, and most of these properties are tax delinquent to the county, township, and school district. And many times these owners just abandon some properties, leaving the neighbors and township to deal with the consequences. So here is a map of all of the blighted properties in the township. And for ease of access, you could zoom in if you want to, or if you click each individual yellow dot, it'll pull up the address. So this is just a quick way of seeing how many properties there are. This is a big deal when it comes to blight. That blight also has a lot of monetary effects. So we found that if there is a non-blighted property within 150 feet of a blighted property, it has the potential to decrease that property's value by 15 to 17%. So we are losing on tax revenue from that. And then there's also the possibility that if the blight problem gets way too out of control, people may not want to move their families or their businesses into the township. And there's also the possibility that people may elect to move out of the township for fear of our community becoming run down. As I said earlier, there are many costs of blight. Obviously code enforcement, police and fire, public works, if we're demoing it, and the tax revenue. But then also the indirect costs are the decreased property values, lack of investment, and the neighborhood perception of the blighted communities. This quickly states that the township and school district has over $2.5 million tied up in these blighted properties, and there is a chance that we could recover a large portion of this. Here's a quick chart showing that how tax delinquent these properties are based on their structure condition ratings, and NA would be vacant properties. So as you can see, the vacant properties have a higher number of tax delinquencies. And this is just a map of what we considered the hotspots of blight in the township. So whatever is glowing red tends to be more of the hotspots, meaning that there are many properties in that area that we have considered blighted. And out of the properties that we have considered blighted, I made this little pie chart to show exactly what areas are contributing the most to the blight. And we think that if we focus on these blight hotspots, we have the potential to clean up these areas and make it more appealing to those in the township. As I go over these solutions, again, want to say that they're totally unbiased opinion or unbiased facts. We're not pushing any opinions, and the website is much more detailed. So I'm just going to go over this very briefly. That we have the land bank solution, and to do the land bank solution, you have to use 50% of the property's taxes for 5 years in order to use this solution. So for each property in question, it's around $3,000 per property. So if we were to do all of them, it'd be around $433,000. Another idea was implementing a blight tax that would be just a low-cost yearly tax. Washington, D.C. did something similar to that. And then we came up with in theory that there are different price points, obviously nothing that we're trying to push immediately, but so there are 5,565 households in the township and 1,488 vacant lots. So this chart shows if you did $20 a year per household, $30 per year for vacant household, you'd get around $155,000 a year. And as you go over, the increments get higher, just kind of giving a basis on what we could potentially recover that way. So our total, including school tax delinquency, is close to $2.8 million. That is just something to keep in mind as we are continuing through this presentation. Another solution we thought about was sweep campaigns, which would be us creating actually a blight task force composed of many different members of our township. So we would reach out to our township, kind of just explain more of the blight issue, what they could do to help, and inform the public on how they can get involved. Conservatorship is another potential solution. It tends to be more complex and takes a lot longer, and you have to meet certain conditions, and the blight has to be proven. So the average cost to use conservatorship on our close to 150 blighted properties would be about $14,000 per property. And then eminent domain is also one. This kind of comes with some controversy. So it's something that should be chosen with care. And again, eminent domain is definitely one of the higher cost options. It's often has controversy because you have to pay what they call just compensation. And obviously there are differences in opinion of what just compensation is. So this can be taken for many months before we ever find out what is considered just compensation for a property. So overall, the investment is to spend the money necessary to clean up these properties. The process is not going to be a short, quick, and easy process, but it is something that particularly me and Greg think is very important to continue. So it may be beneficial to have some staff members focus directly on this problem so that we can have a high return on investment when we get these properties cleaned up. And then our involvement was, I was working very closely with Greg, as he said, over the span of about 5 months. The research portion alone was super intensive and time consuming, and that was just the beginning. We continued to meet on a daily basis to decide exactly how we wanted to present this information and what we wanted this information to tell. So we had to create a way that was easy for people to navigate, and that's how our website was born that I have created. So we just want to focus on the blight and continue working on trying to make this a more beautiful community for everyone to live in. And if you scroll down here, this link will take you to the site that I created. So I have it pulled up right here. So this is the site that I created and designed from scratch. So this was all my doing of putting together. Again, I'm just going to go over this briefly because if I went over all this information on the site, it could take me well over an hour. So for sake of time, I'm just going to briefly go through. And I do want to point out that all of the links on this website will pop into another tab so you can easily see between two different pages if you wanted to. So again, here we have the blight and its effects, and then a chart showing that blight actually has a negative impact on people's health. So scrolling down through the website, using GIS again, we have a market analysis of the different properties that are in question. So that's going to be pulled up. So using the map feature of GIS, I was able to create a rough outline of our boundaries. And with all of the properties in questions, we thought it may be helpful to break down the properties into specific areas. So our areas were the Route 51 area, Central area, Blaine Hill area, Lovedale area, Boston, Green Oak, Mount Vernon, Buena Vista, Blythedale Industry, Douglas Run, and Smithdale. By breaking these down into groups, we were able to get a better idea of market analysis for each group. So here is what we considered the Route 51 area. You can see there's 7 blighted properties, and each one of these market analysis has the average home value in that area, the average household income, the number of code violations in this area with the blighted properties, the number of complaints, and how many are vacant, and then also how many are tax delinquent to the township. And again, if you click on these, you can see it pulls up a picture, but again, more detailed as we go through the site. So this is the central area, 16 blighted properties, 14 of them are tax delinquent. Blaine Hill, there's 18, and 16 of those are tax delinquent to the township. Lovedale has 4, they're all tax delinquent to the township. Boston has 14, 13 of which are tax delinquent. Green Oak area has 9 properties, and they are all tax delinquent. Mount Vernon has 3, and they're all tax delinquent. Buena Vista has 34, and 33 of those are tax delinquent to the township. Blythedale and Industry has 13, and they're all tax delinquent. Douglas Run has 3, they're all tax delinquent. Smithdale has 25, 24 of those being tax delinquent. So that's just kind of a brief overview of the market analysis data that we were using, seeing how many code violations, where money is being spent there. So these are the main links that we kind of have the blighted information on. So if you click the property listing by area, it pops up into another screen that shows each address separated by area. So as you were looking for a specific address, you would come to this page and look. So if you were looking for this, you would come right to this area. And it goes down. And at the bottom of every screen, it takes you, you can click this link to take you to this page. And then the blighted properties photos will have all the hard data from the spreadsheet and then the references page. So the next is the blighted properties photos. This is what we kind of pulled from the spreadsheet, and they are all separated by color and by area. So this is where you could look for specific properties. I will not be opening this now just for sake of confidentiality, but each blighted property has info, and this is the info, and bear with me because it is a lot. It has the parcel number, the owner, the last known address of the owner, do we cut the grass, what the grass cutting cost is, the last sale date and price, the structure size, the condition according to MBM Law, who we have worked with, lot size, if it is a vacant lot, the assessed value of the land and structure, can it be considered part of the county side yard program? Is it in foreclosure? Is it delinquent to the county? Is it delinquent to the township? The years of delinquency to the township and the number of years they're delinquent, the amount of the delinquency, school tax delinquency, township liens amounts and cost. Is it eligible for sheriff's sale? The demolition list, historic demolition data, land bank costs, complaints, violations, violation type, and code enforcement cost. So whenever you guys have a chance to go over this on your own and go into more detail, if you click any of these, it'll take you to that specific area and the properties in that area, and all that information will be available on there. And then this link, if you click that, again, I'm not going to open it just for sake of time, but if you click here, that will download the actual spreadsheet that I made. And then this one is just a quick, there's a lot of charts and tables involved in this project. So this is kind of just the home for all of them. So if you're looking for a specific chart or table, it's in here. And then here's where we start with our solutions. Again, as I talked about in the summary, we have the land bank solution. So this kind of just shows how you'd fund the land bank, what the process, how to become a member, and the charts kind of associating the cost with that. Again, we talked about conservatorship. So this is telling you kind of what conservatorship is, what the situations are to want to start the process of conservatorship, how you're eligible, and what steps you need to consider. And again, a lot of steps need to be considered. These are steps, and I just wanted to note real quick that step number 12 is develop preliminary plans, and I actually made a chart for this, and this whole chart is the preliminary plan, so there is quite a lot associated with that. And then I was able to find cost associated with that. So these are all the costs. Again, we talked about the blight tax, so this goes into more information on how Washington, D.C. did it, and Pittsburgh also experimented with that. And then this is showing how Johnstown, PA has created a blight force of their own. So this is showing kind of how they started off their blight task force, and maybe we could model that. And then the table showing how we could possibly implement this if needed. Eminent domain, again, this shows the process, kind of the controversy behind it. And again, I want to note too that I put in some of the references right here. So if you're looking for where I got any of this information, it's all available by clicking. Eminent domain does have some blurred lines, as this says. So this kind of shows what possible problems we can encounter doing that. Another option we thought of was actually having kind of a dumpster day at the municipal building, where we could have a dumpster for a couple of days, and maybe people with blighted properties that have trash or just extra things lying around could drop off those items in the dumpster to clean up their property. So I just priced out 3 different options for this. Waste Management does it, and this is an example of one of the houses that could probably benefit from that. There's a company called Bin There, Dump That, and then there's the ABC Easy option. So all of these you could look through. They're just kind of priced out based on what we think our needs would be. The next one is the tax-based expansion ordinance. Wilkesburg, PA has done something very similar to this. So I kind of just put in what they did and put in their chart of how they did it and how you'd be approved for this. So maybe we could possibly mimic what they have done to help with our blighted properties. And I know this is already on our township site, but I thought it was important to add the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program. This goes through how you can apply, what's eligible, how long, and then there's a nice chart that shows exactly what type of structure or property you're dealing with and what the requirements are and the costs. We talked about sweep campaigns. This kind of goes into more detail about that we want to just really reach out to the community and explain what we are trying to do, not only just with blighted properties, but we came up with ideas of having maybe little workshops. So like a why code workshop. What does code enforcement do? What are their limitations? And introduce everyone to our code enforcement so they know how they can work with them and what needs to be done on their behalf. And then possibly just long-term solutions to these blighted properties. And then also resources. How can our code enforcement help you? We are there to help. So we want to show the community we are very willing to help and we would love to do that. There are also third-party organizations that specialize in blight. So they will help specific homeowners or property owners to renovate their blighted properties or give them some money to help do that. So there's a couple here, Urban Pay for Success. And then there was a lot on the PHFA website. So there's just a lot of programs that can assist homeowners or property owners in getting their properties under control and having a better community. This is one that is recently passed, Act 61 of 2020. This allows townships to exempt property taxes for blighted properties in hopes that the owners will clean it up. So this is kind of a bill that would allow us to kind of reason with people like, hey, if you don't pay your property taxes for this amount of time, you have to fix up your house or property in this amount of time. So we're giving you a tax break to fix this so that our community is a better place to live. And then this is something Greg and I talked a lot about that maybe people don't know, is that there is a big blighted boat problem in the township, that there are many boats that people just either have abandoned and we don't know what to do with. So I priced out using waste management how we could possibly get rid of these boats and make them less of an eyesore on our community. So this would be the estimated total cost. So that's something, again, we could consider. And then just to end, this was the reference page. So every single piece of information I got is on here. And if you click any of these, it'll take you exactly to that page. That is pretty much the whole website, and as brief as I can make it. Again, I hope that you explore it more detailed. And again, I want to say thank you so much for the internship. I've absolutely loved it. I've loved working with everyone, and I have a lot of hope that this kind of project continues to go in the future. And I'm open to any questions, comments, or critiques about anything.
Jessica, this is Kyle.
Yes.
Greg told me I was going to be impressed, but I have to tell you, no, I'm blown away. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Way to go, guys.
Thank you.
Go, Jess.
You guys did a great job.
Thank
Great.
you, Jessica. This is Dr. Rocco. Very impressed. What school were you at, Jessica? No, I'm sorry, I missed that at the beginning.
I graduated from Penn State, Greater Allegheny, and I'm going to be going to grad school.
You did awesome work. Made EF very proud.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome job. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Jess, thanks a lot. She did an incredible job, commissioners. I can't emphasize that enough. Just an incredible employee. If you get the chance, please look it over, look at the spreadsheet. That's the real gem of it, which we couldn't really show. And hopefully we can continue this conversation down the road and keep this as a live document that keeps evolving.
Yeah.
Thank you
That's
so
the
much.
important thing. Keep
Yes,
it going.
we really enjoyed having you in the office. You were our first code enforcement intern that I think Elizabeth Township has ever had that I can find. We were very excited to bring you on, and it was really nice working with you. I know you're going to do well in life.
Thank you so much. I really have genuinely enjoyed coming to work the days that I have and seeing all you guys. You guys have really made it such a homey family situation for me, so I could not be more thankful for that.
Thanks again, Jess.
Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you.
Well, let's move on. Wow. We're talking about blighted properties for a long time. Now we have an avenue to start moving. That's amazing. And here comes Arrowhead Drive, and here comes all this other stuff. So everybody should get excited. This is awesome, incredible. All righty, we move on to ordinances. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt Ordinance 959, amending Chapter 10, Part 3 of the Elizabeth Township Code, amending the abandoned and junk vehicle sections. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And John, would you explain, please?
Yeah, what this ordinance does, it clarifies our current ordinance and gives more definition as to what classifies as a vehicle using the motor vehicle code definition of a vehicle. It also gives more detail and requirements for permitting the storage of vehicles that are being restored as to number, where they can be stored, how they can be stored. And probably one of the larger changes is the notice section for tagging the vehicle is changing to a 48-hour notice to be placed on the vehicle, which will speed the process up and eliminate a lot of the cost of the certified mail.
Thank you, John. Any other comment on this ordinance? If not, I'll ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Asking for a motion to adopt Ordinance 960 to regulate false alarms to Elizabeth Township public safety agencies and establish penalties for such violations.
So moved.
Second.
John, would you explain?
Yeah, what this ordinance will do is will require anyone that has an alarm system that automatically sends an alarm to the police, the fire department, to limit their false alarms if they're having a problem with their system, to see that it's corrected. After so many false alarms, they can be penalized for each additional alarm within that calendar year. We're hoping with discussion with some of the fire departments, some businesses and entities are becoming more of a problem with the false alarms requiring response. We're hoping this will help fix and put an end to some of the unneeded alarms.
Okay, very good. Any other comment from the board? If not, I ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
John, is this where you wanted to put your motion, or is this in the next section?
We can add it anywhere you would like. I can throw it in here if you would like.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'd just like the commissioners, I'd ask the commissioners for a motion to set the time and date for the conditional use public hearing for a conditional use submitted by Harry Ballman for a single family home requesting to be a structure requesting to be used as a single family home within a special conservation zoning district located at 139 Bell Street in Buena Vista. Planning has reviewed it and recommended it move forward to the commissioners. Our next step would be a public hearing for the commissioners and then a vote by the commissioners.
Okay, we're asking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Little discussion on the motion. I do have a question as to where we are on having conditional use hearings. Matt, are we able to do that, or are we pull this off?
We did one already over Zoom, so we'll do it the same way.
Okay, do it the same way. All right.
Is there any public comment on this? If anybody has anything to chime in on, or do you wait till the vote's over, Matt?
No, you got to do it now.
Yep.
If I could just throw in, I'm asking for the date to be before the November 2nd meeting at 6:30, if that's acceptable to the board, or 6:45.
John, I know these
6:45.
residents are anxious. Can we do it anytime before that?
That would be up to the board. I think Matt was trying to say something as well.
Yeah, 6:45 will be fine. And Dan, I generally do them right before the
No,
meeting.
I mean date-wise, like could we move it up sooner than that date?
Could, but you have to vote on it at a public meeting anyway, so that's why I tie them in usually. I do the public hearing right before the meeting, and then the motion will be on that meeting's agenda, so it kind of works usually.
Okay.
You think this will take any longer than 15 minutes, Matt?
No.
All right, we'll have it at 6:45 and then right after our exec at the November meeting. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. I ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
We have 4 items for discussion at this point in no particular order. As you can see, the top one is for code enforcement vehicle. Code is in need of a vehicle. This also ties in with emergency management. So I'll just start there. Emergency management has Code's last old vehicle, which is a late 90s pick-em-up truck that's fallen apart.
It's a 2008.
Oh, is it that? Okay, it's a 2008, but nevertheless, it is falling apart. It has been deemed by our fleet mechanic to not be worthy of making any effort to save it. So it is now parked. And Code needs another vehicle and emergency management needs another vehicle. I would point out that one of the commissioners made a point that if we were going to buy a new vehicle, that it should go to the police. John's priced these vehicles through CoStars, and Ford Taurus Interceptor is, what'd you say, John, 33 grand?
It's $33,335 on CoStars for the base vehicle.
And then what are your add-ons going to cost? Your sticker and whatever else you would have in it?
Between $2,000 and $2,500.
$2,000 and $2,500. So we're talking about $35,000 to $36,000 for a Code vehicle. Sergeant Simba and John, I know that you guys both probably have some knowledge as to what it costs to outfit a police vehicle on top of the 33. Can you give us a guess on what that would cost to outfit a police vehicle?
I think if we sit back and we look at the last Dodges that we bought, we spent about $10,000 to outfit each car.
I actually pulled the quote on it. For each Charger, it was $11,310 in added equipment.
Okay. All right. I noticed in your report, Sergeant Simba, that you have one car that you're going to be looking at to get through here, although you're saying it's in fair condition, and that would be the Tahoe, I believe, going to last a couple more years.
So that's actually the oldest car in our fleet's a 2012 Ford Interceptor. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I apologize.
So, I mean, that one, it has some minor cosmetic damage from an impact with a deer, but the maintenance hasn't been too bad on it. So Rich has really been taking care of us over there. So that would be my recommendation, and for next year's budget would be to replace that one, at least that one there.
Would that be something that you would include in your police department budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay. John, do you have any money in Code that could be put towards purchase of a vehicle for Code?
Not currently. My budget for the last several years has not included any vehicle purchase.
Okay.
There may be some, I'll have to go over it with Joel. There may be some we can possibly, pull a little from here or somewhere, but that's a discussion I'll have to go over with Joel.
Okay, I open the discussion now to the rest of the commissioners.
I'd be more inclined to look at when we replace a police car to then maybe pass the car down to code enforcement from the police department.
I don't think a car is going to work for code
Or
enforcement.
SUV, type of vehicle. So just something to consider. And plus we're getting ready to do our budgets for next year coming up this month. I think we should look into the budgets and see how much money we do have.
Well, keep in mind, it's not a car. Code needs an SUV. A Ford Explorer is what they're looking at. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, and getting the police package model is actually cheaper than just a regular off-the-lot Explorer on the state contracting pricing. It's about $15,000 cheaper.
John and I can dig a little more in depth on what's left in the budget this year, but the last 3 years in my budget preparations, I have proposed the same scenario, which is a new code enforcement vehicle, hand down John's vehicle to the assistant code officer, hand down that vehicle to emergency management. Emergency management really gets left out of the budget. I've been pushing for them more and more. They always seem to fall short, and now they don't have a vehicle at all. So if something comes up, they're using code's vehicle either way.
Why do we need an SUV for code enforcement? Just so the public can hear that explanation.
Just some of the places we go, it's a little more convenient not to be able to get stuck. And some,
The amount of equipment you guys take with
we do carry some equipment with us, and it's more so just, I mean, we can be going on construction sites, checking dumping complaints, various things in all kind of weather. And I mean, unfortunately in the past I had to have the road crew come rescue me with the front loader because I was in an area and sank down to the axles. It's just, that's it's a vehicle that makes more sense to have the 4-wheel drive capability.
Right, and not just for code enforcement. I mean, if code enforcement has an SUV, it's multi-purpose. Other departments can utilize it more than if we had a sedan.
Yeah, I'd like to also point out to your point, Dan, of passing a car down from the police department. This car is already going to have big miles on it anyhow. So we have a vehicle, a Ford Interceptor, Taurus Interceptor, that can't be used at code, and that's the next vehicle that's going to come out of the police department.
I have a question. Since the reason we're doing this is to have a vehicle for emergency management, is there any type of grants we could possibly get?
Not that I've found.
No, the vehicle that right now, with what would happen is the silver 2010 Explorer would then go to emergency management. And we'd just cycle vehicles down through our fleet. You may possibly be able to get a little bit of funding, but not much. There's more funding available for the response agencies, and there's really not any grant funding available for an emergency management vehicle. We are looking at, just speaking from emergency management, we are looking at, some funding to help with other situations, equipment that they may need for an emergency operations center and things like that. But there's really not a lot for that type of vehicle.
Have we looked at getting a used vehicle for the emergency vehicle?
That was going to be my question. Why, is buying used out of the question?
No, but it doesn't seem like the township has ever developed a schedule for our vehicles in terms of how long we're predicting them to last, when we should or look to consider replacing them. And so over the last 2 years, we've been in this predicament where our vehicles just break down and we're stuck with nothing, and Johnny on the spot have to buy one since we've not done any of the prep work in decommissioning any of the vehicles and rotating them out and purchasing new. So I'm not opposed to buying used, but in the long run, is that cost going to be more beneficial than buying new with a warranty or handing it down or giving them a vehicle that we've already had our mechanic maintaining that he's familiar with? He's familiar with the silver code enforcement vehicle and its capabilities versus another used vehicle. I don't know what the difference would be.
Now, what's emergency management using now, and are they the ones requesting this vehicle?
No, they're not requesting this vehicle. They don't have a vehicle now. They had one. It will not pass inspection.
And they're not requesting one at this point?
No, but if we have an emergency, they don't have a vehicle.
Well, he wants a vehicle. The coordinator wants a vehicle, but he realizes that you're probably not going to purchase a vehicle just for that.
He'd be more likely.
Have we gone to any of our elected officials and requested any help in any of this? Like our state rep and our state senator?
Not for
Maybe we need to send them each a letter telling them that we could use some help. You know, everybody always thinks Elizabeth Township has so much money, but they're giving it out to all the other municipalities, and I think we're being neglected. And then they send us information that they want us to support them.
Joanne, that's
I
a
think
very great point. That's a great point, and I will reach out to Piskarik and Senator Brewster and make a request for that.
Okay, that's a good idea. I think, I know, in fact, I was supposed to have the list for tonight of all the grants that have been given out to some of the municipalities. And I'm telling you, we're being shortchanged. And I didn't receive it, but I may have it by tomorrow.
Okay, let's
I
get
did
back
meet
on
with
subject.
Senator Brewster a week ago, and Senator Brewster said he is more than willing to help us out in any way, shape, or form that we would need. So I will reach out to him this week and see where we could go with that, with maybe trying to get some funding for a vehicle for the emergency program.
I think that's a great
We need
idea.
to come up
too.
with a lot more than 30,000,
Well,
because I'm going to have proof of it.
I think
Well, he
Representative
mentioned it.
Eric gave 600,000 to Elizabeth Borough to tear down a building. Cripe, 600,000 buy a lot of vehicles for us, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Senator Brewster did throw a number at me with grant money that's pretty much at hand, but I'm not going to disclose that amount because I don't want him held to anything. That was just in conversation. So, but I will reach out to both of them this week.
And the other thing, Bart, Elizabeth Borough is 1/7 the size of Elizabeth Township, so we should get 7 times 625,000.
That's right. We have a lot more people that vote here.
Bart, your ward is bigger than the whole borough.
Let's get back on subject. We have many more things to discuss here tonight. This code enforcement vehicle, there is a trickle down effect, and it's not really about the emergency management vehicle. Although it would be nice if the emergency manager also had a all-wheel, 4-wheel drive. It could much better than the pick-em-up truck that's sitting out there right now. Which is useless. How do we move forward with this, guys? We've been putting this off and putting this off and putting this off. This is like the 3rd or 4th go round on this. We've yet to make a decision. So,
well, I
personally just heard about it last meeting, so I will reach out to both of those individuals, and maybe we could tie the grant or whatever funding that they're willing to maybe supply us or help us get, and we'll tie it into just a general emergency vehicle, and maybe we could disclose at that point what we're going to use that vehicle for, whether it would be for our police department or code enforcement or what have you. But I will definitely reach out to both of them, and I'll get back to everybody on that feedback.
all right. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? I want to move on. Okay. Second on the list, Public Works has a Ford, as you see, an F-550. This is a larger dump truck that has serious mechanical problems, and we have to make a decision tonight as to whether or not to fix it or send it down the road. Paul, I think I could probably do this, but I'm going to just let you do it anyhow. Tell us where we are with this machine.
Okay, it's a 2006 Ford F-550 with the 6.0 diesel in it. It needs a high pressure oil pump in it. And when you change the high pressure oil pump, you got to change all the injectors, the EGR cooler, the EGR valve. There's about $4,225 worth of parts. And Rich is telling me approximately 24 hours of labor involved in this. The truck is 14 years old. It's got, with our estimates, probably maybe 2 years left on it because of rust. So I was asking, what do we do with it? Do we put that money into it, or do we go by the wayside with it? And I was just looking for, I called Kyle the other day on it when we got the confirmation what was going on with it. So I just wanted some kind of a way to go with this thing here.
So my gut feeling on this is $4,200 worth of parts and another $800, $900 labor costs. So we're looking at $5,500 to keep a vehicle, potentially keep a vehicle on the road for 2 more years. Understand something too, folks, that one of these things brand new is $90,000. And that's a big hit. And I know we're taking the only reason that this has come up is that, and you must hear this also, the township had a 2007, Paul, the F550 6.0 diesel.
It was a 2005.
2005, and there was a similar animal there, and the work was done, and then the engine seized and blew up anyhow. Goodbye, see you later. So my gut feeling is fix it. We'll take comments from the other commissioners.
I personally, from personal experience of doing snow removal for 30 years, this truck's 14 years old. The frame's probably not in good shape. Between brake lines, rotors, fuel lines, and a problem like this, I had a similar problem with one of my older dump trucks. I put the $5,000 into it, and 4 months later, the same exact problem happened, but it was not a part. It wasn't part of the mechanic. It was a faulty fuel pump that was, just from the factory was faulty. But I still had to eat the labor. When these trucks get to be a certain age, and Paul, I'd like you to follow me up on this. When these trucks get to be a certain age, they're going to beat you to death. And I personally say, sell it while it's running, get what you can get out of it. If you get 15 grand out of it, and reinvest, because in another year, that truck might be garbage and you're going to be sitting with the same truck. It may not run and you may get scrap money out of it. So that's my personal opinion on it. I think we ought to dump it and upgrade. And I know it's a hit, but coming from someone that's had a lot of experience in snow removal, I'm telling you, it's an ongoing battle.
Very well made, Rich. I will also tell you that it doesn't run right now. It does not run. It will not start. So.
Oh, it does run, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, it is running. It's still running. But it's just, Rich has done all the diagnostics on it and come up with, what we need to fix it to, properly.
What's Rich's opinion?
I say we get rid of it.
Paul, what's your feeling on it?
Well, I gotta go with Rich L. Jerry. He's had experience with this stuff. So,
I mean, I want to get Paul's opinion too. That's just my opinion. But Paul, what's your feeling on this situation?
That's what my feeling is. I don't see putting that much money into it. You're not going to get it back out of it. And my biggest thing is we just lived this 2 years ago. The same exact problem. It was just a year older truck. It was the same motor. These trucks were bought. One was a 2005. This is a 2006. It's the same issues. We already lived this once. That's why I wanted some guidance on this, because I didn't want to spend that kind of money and we end up with the same outcome. Again, it goes back to not having a replacement program and getting rid of them while they're still good, and getting top dollar for them instead of, just end up getting scrap price for them.
Excuse me, Paul. Now, you had another mechanic outside our mechanic look at that truck, correct?
Yeah, that was talked about with another mechanic. He was giving all the details, and he kind of agreed in some ways that he wouldn't put the money into it, being a municipal truck.
Who was that?
So
Who was the other mechanic that we got input on?
I'll tell him, Dan Christensen.
yeah, I couldn't
Danny's worked on about 40 or 50 of these things over the years, and
he's a great mechanic, and he builds his own trucks.
That's
I mean,
right.
He is an extremely talented fabricator. I mean, he builds them.
And he said it's on the fence, but he'd scrap it. He'd get rid of it.
Yeah, he's a great resource. So just food for thought.
All right, Paul, there's your answer. Sell it, put it on municipal bid. But how bad you need another truck?
I'll be short a truck. I'm short one already. So I'm going to be short 2 trucks now.
So does that change anybody's mind? Because we have to order another one. What's the lead time on that, Joel? 3 months?
Depends on how much outfitting it needs.
Kyle, we're going to work on the budget this month. I think we should wait till we finish doing that.
Really? It's going to snow here in another month.
I'm just saying.
I get it.
We need to have enough trucks to plow because our residents have to be able to get out.
And this is a safety concern from my point of view. I mean, we don't want to put any kind of residents or EMS in any kind of danger because we're trying to wait another month. I mean, it's going to come down to you're going to need the truck anyway. Again, that's my opinion.
The quotes and the lead time and give it to the board.
Paul, have you looked at any other trucks? Is there any other trucks available that give you a quick turnaround time?
I have two demos that I have quotes on that the last time I checked on, they were available. I reached out today and neither one got back to me to verify they still had them. So I don't want to say that they're still available.
Are they suited up and ready to go if they are?
Yeah, they're one has a plow on it and the one doesn't have a plow, but we have a plow at the garage. And the spreader, we have a spare spreader right now, so it's just a matter of, it's short period of time. I don't want to comment if they're available right now because, like I said,
how much were the demos?
One second here. One was 86,000, and the other one was 79,000.
I spent 82 on mine, and that was fully suited. That was the stainless steel tailgate spreader, plow, so aluminum bed. So that was 5 years ago. So if you could get one for around 80,000 now, that truck probably right now is worth 95. So that's another thing. The longer we wait, the higher it's going to go.
Any other comments from commissioners? Oh, by the way, if you put this thing on municipal bid, it's probably get a decent price coming back at it. We've sold these things before. It's still, if it's running. All right, what do we do here, guys?
Well, I just say we have Paul see if he can get the demo and then move on that, because then if he can get the demo, then we put it on municipal bid and go from there, because everybody makes a point. I mean, we have to have enough available trucks to plow the snow should we get a snowstorm. So
all right,
I guess we could always, I guess we have Paul check on that tomorrow, then see where we go from there.
All right, that sounds good. And you're talking about the one without the plow then, right?
Yeah, the cheaper one, it needs a plow and a spreader.
Well,
But,
yeah. All right,
we
good.
have both of them, so.
Okay, we await your call on that. So, any other questions, Paul? We all good on this one?
Yeah, I'll get that tomorrow. Like I said,
I think we give him the authority, give Kyle the authority to purchase this if it meets Paul's whatever,
I agree,
whatever
Joe.
we're looking for.
Pull the trigger on the purchase?
Yes.
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 I think you should tell us the bid first tomorrow.
Yeah, like I said, I'll make sure my numbers are right and they still have them.
All right, guys, I'll get back to you all on this. Paul and I'll work on it, and we'll get this done. Next item is Wildcat Hollow. For those of you that may not know where this is, if you are traveling Green Oak Buena Vista Road from Mount Vernon Dairy towards Buena Vista, there is a small angle turn that cuts off behind Buena Vista Volunteer Fire Company and post office in that section also. It's called Wildcat Hollow Road. And there was a man that came before us several times approximately a year ago with complaints of speeders entering in from the uphill side of Wildcat Hollow. And I can attest to this because I grew up around here, and the way that the stupid 16-year-olds that we were, when we would be following a slowpoke coming down Green Oak Buena Vista, we made it a game to try to beat him to the bridge there where Wildcat Hollow ends. And many times we did beat him, but you had to really fly down Wildcat Hollow. It was really stupid. So I thought this was a really good move to turn that into a one-way, because it is definitely a safety factor leaving that two-way. Now, there's been a petition that's been put before the board. You may have seen it. It's several pages long. There are a lot of signatures here. The gist of the complaint is that these folks cannot go up Wildcat Hollow and make a safe right-hand turn onto Green Oak Buena Vista Road. And I'm here to tell you that you certainly can. I've done it. Sergeant Simba and I had a discussion about this a couple of days ago. It is not a problem at all. You just have to swing it a little bit wide. I could very easily take a box truck up there and swing it a little bit wide and make a very safe right-hand turn without crossing the center line. Because of the safety reasons, I am not in favor of this. I think that this should just be squashed, but we also have, probably 60 or 80 people that have signed a petition, so we have to have a very intelligent discussion about this. Since I brought up Sergeant Simba's name in this discussion, I'd like to ask him next what he thinks about it.
I actually went down there today and spoke to a couple residents that were home. The majority of them prefer to keep it the way it is right now, being a one-way. So, I mean, for us, I mean, we haven't had any accidents on that road or at the intersections of the road since it's been changed. So it seems to be doing its job. We haven't had any complaints about people speeding or anything else. I mean, some members of the Buena Vista Fire Department don't like it because they say it makes it harder for them to get their apparatuses in and out of the back of the garage. So, but the residents down there, the majority of them want to keep it the same way. So it's up to you guys.
I'm not sure the complaint about from the fire company guys, they can move their trucks in and out of there at will. They don't have to really, I mean, they can back out the wrong way on that road without causing any issues. What's the deal?
From my understanding, it's when they return back to their station. They have a hard time turning on Conroy because the resident on Conroy parks his cars on Conroy Street. So they have to swing it wide on Green Oak Buena Vista in order to turn on Conroy.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know, because before they used to just turn down Rudolph and then go, you know, it was two ways, go behind the fire department that way and back in. But now they got on Conroy now.
Unintended consequence. Any other comments on this, board?
Yeah, my issue, Kyle, is this. So at the time, I supported designating Wildcat Hollow a one-way road for the same reason that you mentioned before. Safety, I think, comes before everything else. But I've looked over the petition, and there are 89 signatures, and out of that 89, 83 of them are constituents of mine. And whenever I have that number of, I mean, one person's voice is important, but whenever you have 83 people asking to have something done, I have to side with the majority.
Any other comment from any other commissioners? Well, as you all know, this is an ordinance, so we will have to vote on that for sure at the next meeting. So Joelle, would you put that up, please? All right, fourth thing on item for discussion, although it doesn't show up, is whether or not to hire an independent contractor, whether Elizabeth Township should hire an independent contractor to oversee or help oversee the placement of the pipeline part of our Act 537. I want everybody to understand that KLH will have an inspector that will be on site pretty much all the time doing this exact same thing. And that contractually, we are also bound by Regional Trail Council's contract to allow Senate Engineering to also have an on-site inspector. I'm not sure how much they will be there, but we are going to be paying for that also. I'm not opposed to this. Matt and I have had extensive discussions about it. It's just, you know, the money in this whole thing just is mind-boggling to me. And here we are, we're going to hire somebody else to throw another $100 grand at. I'm going to ask Eric Tissue to weigh in on this as well. So before the board makes comment, Eric, what can you tell us about your thoughts on this? And John Maury, I'm going to ask you to weigh in on this too, because I think maybe you can give the board some insight as to how much oversight is already being done by your company and Senate, and do we really need an independent inspector? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, as you said, Kyle, we will have full-time inspectors on the contracts, both contracts. We have a detailed set of specifications that govern what the contractor can do and how he has to build the line. And our inspectors are very experienced at dictating and interpreting those specifications. So they will be there full-time to make sure that the contractor does what he's supposed to do. It wouldn't be setting a precedent to have a construction administrator on the project, but and John and I are both very confident in our ability to make sure this contract gets done properly. So you're right, we don't have any choice with regards to whether Senate has anybody on site. I don't expect that they will have anybody there full-time. But as I've said, I think that we're fully capable of doing this. This inspection without the need for anybody else.
John Maurer, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I agree with Eric. We've done numerous projects, similar size to this, some actually larger. We've had our team of construction inspectors on a project. You know, if you're looking for, you know, essentially a second set of eyes to overlook what we're doing, you know, Senate will have the opportunity to be out there. But I do agree with you that, you know, it's just going to be an extra added layer of expense. Instead of having really one, now you're going to have three. And I think it's financially, it's probably overkill. Because, you know, the point is, nobody that you have out there inspecting is going to make a decision. We are the only ones that are going to make the decision, because nobody else is going to make the decision, because they're going to accept liability on the project. So whoever you hire is just going to be taking notes, and he's not going to be able to dictate anything. He's going to be coming back to us, you know, for an answer. So I don't want to say it's pointless, but I think financially,
it's a good point. Matt, I'd like you to speak to this next. I know that we've talked about it, and you had some really good things to suggest in this regard.
Yeah, sure. And again, I'm looking at it on both in terms of the resident end and the solicitor end. So it's kind of a blurred line here, because it's not just strictly illegal. You know, some of this is just my own personal opinion, not necessarily the legalities of it. So just to clarify that point. You know, my opinion is, obviously, I think we should hire a construction administrator or manager on this project. You know, first of all, Senate isn't going to be looking for the things that we're looking for. You know, we need somebody that's there on the ground, who has done this type of work before, who has worked in this type of area and this type of project, to know the things that happen on a project site. Now, I'll explain my logic behind that. And first of all, Senate is there to look out for the regional trail. So they're looking at issues in terms of making sure the trail is preserved, making sure the trail is not impacted. So they're not looking at our project in terms of the township and what the liabilities or what the issues are as far as the township goes. So my concern is, you know, we got really favorable, I would say favorable type bids on these as far as the project pricing goes. Sometimes when you get favorable pricing, and I know it's a thin market right now with COVID, there's a tendency to have change orders. There's a tendency for things to be shortcutted. And I think that, in my opinion, having somebody on the ground who can watch over those things, who is experienced in it and knows where contractors try and cut those corners or try and insert those change orders. You know, if you catch one change order, that could pay for it itself. So again, my opinion is this is a person who is there on the ground, watching out for the township, protecting the township, and making sure that things are done strictly the way they're supposed to be done, you know, under the terms of the bid. And I know that KLH will have an inspector there. That's typical on a project. But I think this person is looking at different things than what that inspector is looking at. That's my own personal opinion.
And let me just add, Matt, what you just did, you just described what our inspector does. I mean, he is looking out for the best interest of the township. I understand where you're coming from, but our inspector is doing exactly what you just described. And
Yeah,
he knows,
I understand
the details.
yeah, I mean, I've been around enough construction projects, so I do know that. I'm aware of that, you know, but I think that having somebody else there with a different set of eyes, no offense to KLH and your inspector, you know, who's looking at different things, somebody who works in that business, somebody who can understand, again, where the change orders and where to watch out for the change orders are coming from. So, I mean, I just think they'll be a valuable asset for the price. You're talking about a $10+ million project. And I think that you spending, you know, whatever it is on this guy, and it's not going to, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be that much money. I think that they'll pay for themselves a couple of times over. That's my personal opinion. That's just me.
All right, I'm going to ask for comments from the rest of the commissioners, and then we're going to move on.
I would agree with hiring an outside independent contractor to look at this. I think number one, we have, as Matt said, it's a $10 million plus project. And I think what we do is we advertise for a person who can do hourly. We can sort of manage those costs so that it's not, you know, we're not giving a flat, you know, fee. I think we move ahead and plow ahead. But again, I think having an outside person that represents us is really significant. And that is, again, I think it's another set of eyes for KLH as well. So again, I look at it as this person working in concert with us in helping us to move this project forward. So I'm in favor of advertising and, you know, going through the right process to do this, but bringing someone on board as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else from the board like to speak?
I mean, one other thought on it is I want to just say that the other end that they can add in is in terms of things like the delay damage issue, you know, that could, you know, the delay damage type issues that could arise. You know, we are under very strict time deadlines on this thing. There are multiple moving parts. You also have two different contractors who it looks like may be working on the project at the same time. So it's not just one contractor. So, you know, and I'll just tell you, I had one of the bidders contact me who did not get awarded the bid. They are not involved in this at all, okay, have no interest in it. And he called and we had a conversation, and he said that with two different contractors, there's a lot of potential for issues, and he could see it going wrong because there just has to be things that work in conjunction with each other so that they don't get in each other's way and cause each other to sue them and sue the township. And he thought there were a lot of problems. And I said, well, the township, one of the things that they're thinking about is hiring a project administrator or manager to sort of help manage that type of issue as well. So it's not just making sure things are done the way that they need to be done in the bid. The idea, at least in my brain, would be helping with some of that coordination as well to make sure things are being done as a concert together. And, you know, he actually paused and said, that's a really good idea. I mean, this is a guy who has no interest in it, who works in this bit, you know, in this area, obviously bid on the project, telling me that's a good idea. That gives some credence to what I think as far as my opinion.
All right. If there's no objections from the board, then I'm going to ask Matt to go ahead and create the advertisement for this position and get it advertised. And you can work it out. You know what you're after.
I like Bart's idea of an hourly pay too, so we
Yeah.
can monitor that.
Yeah. All right, that's good. All right, Dr. Rocco, do you have in your mind the motion that you'd like to make for moving on with Sergeant Simba's? And then you're muted.
Let me do that right now, President
Yeah,
Watt?
sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve Sergeant Jerry Simba as the interim chief immediately. And then I'd like to make a second motion after that. So do you want to do one at a time or?
Matt, how should we do that?
Yeah, do them as two separate motions.
So I'd like to make a motion to make Sergeant Jerry Simba the interim chief immediately.
I'll second that.
All right, we're good. Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes. Go ahead, Bart.
Congratulations. I guess congratulations, Chief Simba, interim Chief Simba.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Hey,
Congratulations.
hey, Joel, I vote yes also. You forgot me.
Oh, sorry, Rob. I wasn't prepared for added motions tonight.
That's okay.
Thank you. I'd
Congratulations.
like to make a second motion to have a motion to advertise for the police chief of Elizabeth Township to our various.
I'll second that.
We have a motion. Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes. We were remiss in asking for public comment on this.
Also,
Matt,
Act 537. So if anybody has comment on any of these three items.
Okay, we move on. Let's move through the motions. Motion to approve commissioners meeting minutes dated September 14th, 2020.
So, second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion to approve the general fund bill warrant dated October 5th, 2020 in the amount of $166,650.58.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion to approve the sanitary fund bill warrant dated October 5th, 2020 in the amount of $29,759.57.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion to approve Piers Road ROW agreement with Harold Smith for the location of a private force main located in a township ROW to service a new single-family home to be constructed.
So moved.
I'll second. Little discussion here from John. First of all, just for everybody's knowledge, ROW is right of way. And what are they trying to do here, John?
Yeah, this is Mr. Smith. He's had part of the hunting preserve property subdivided, and he has 10 acres there, and he's gone through the process of getting a conditional use approval and everything. He's building a private home, but he would like to tie into sewage where we don't have it, so he's putting in a grinder pump and needs an agreement to put his private force main within our right-of-way to tie in.
Any other questions from the commissioners? I'll ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer,
Yes.
President Walk,
Yes.
all in favor.
Motion to disperse the 2020 Volunteer Fire Relief Association allocation of $64,568.89 equally to the 5 volunteer fire companies of Elizabeth Township.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer,
Yes.
President Walk,
Yes.
all in favor.
Motion to approve the 2019 audit prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco,
Is there, I'd like to have just one question, Kyle, if I could.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah. On these audits, in my past life, the audit folks that presented or that performed the audits would come and present those audits to the board. Is that not the process that goes on at the commissioner meetings?
so they can, it's up to the board if you guys want her to come in, and I stated that when I sent the audit out and said, let me know if you want me to schedule for her to come in.
Again, I just think for future audits, I think that it behooves us to have these folks come to present to the board in total, just so that we can hear all the particulars of the audit itself.
We can still do that part if you think it's necessary.
Again, I just think, and Dan, I don't know, I'll beg the Dan's law.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Okay.
all good.
I mean, my motions, I'll approve, I'll vote in the affirmative, but I would just like to go forward that we need to probably have folks present that.
Okay. Joel, you can set that up, right, Lee? Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.
Sometimes you want to, hey Bart, just one, because I obviously have attended a lot of those.
Yeah,
One idea I always have is to give them like a set time, like just say like you're going to be given 7 minutes so that way they can condense
Exactly.
it. Otherwise, they can talk literally forever on those numbers.
I've experienced that, Matt, for many years, sir. I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Joel, we didn't hear that. Say it again.
I just was calling Dr. Rocco's roll call.
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer,
Yes.
President Walk,
Yes.
all in favor.
Motion to approve the 2019 audit prepared in accordance with the DCED regulatory basis. Need a motion?
So moved.
Is that Joanne?
I'll second it.
All right, Andrew. Any questions on this motion? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco,
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma,
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer,
Yes.
President Walk,
Yes.
all in favor.
Motion to approve the 2021 non-uniform pension, MMO, in the amount of $110,072.
Motion.
So moved. Second.
Joe, I'd like you to give us the overview on both of these motions and try to explain to the board where this is going, where this money's going, and how it got there.
Yeah, I missed who the first and second was, though, if you don't mind.
Who made the motion? Who first?
This is wrong. I think Joanne did and I seconded it.
Rob and Joanne.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear that clearly. So the MMO is just the minimum municipal obligation that we have to contribute each year into the 2 pension plans that we have, uniform and non-uniform. We receive state aid allocations each year, which offsets our MMO payment. We usually have excess that gets put into both funds each year. You'll see in the next motion how that's broken down. There's a particular formula that PMRS provides that has to be done to figure out these calculations based off projected payroll amounts.
Any other questions about this before we vote? If not, we'll take a roll call on number 8.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion to approve the 2021 uniformed pension MMO in the amount of $142,715.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
Any questions on this? It was self-explanatory from before. Therefore, take a roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes. Motion to approve the 2021 Sanitary Authority pension MMO in the amount of $0.00.
So moved.
I'll second, but I have to ask the question.
Fine.
So, yeah,
Is this
I'm
all-
required to present this information to the board, whether it's $0 or not, and have you guys approve it and see it and then send it back to PMRS.
All right. All right, so we don't have a sanitary authority, therefore we don't have any pension to go in the sanitary authority pension fund. All right, roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Is that a yes, Rob?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion to apply the 2020 municipal pension state aid to the following plans in accordance with the 2020 MMO. A, Elizabeth Township Pension Plan, non-uniform, at $72,824.66. And B, Elizabeth Township Police Pension Plan, uniform, $124,128.67. Need a motion?
So moved.
Rob and Joanne. Any questions? Roll call.
Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Rob,
His phone might have. No, he's still on here.
Rob,
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
yes.
All in favor?
Motion to approve amended school resource officer agreement with EF School District.
Motion.
Second.
Just a quick comment. So the school had, this is an agreement that's been in place for many years. The school had sent over some suggested changes. I had some concerns with those changes, had made some additional changes myself to their changes, discussed and reviewed it with their district solicitor, who, basically approved all those changes that we made. That has been forwarded on to Sergeant Simba or Interim Chief Simba for review and comment. I think he did discuss this also with the SRO officer. All the terms have been agreed to, and I think everyone thinks that it'll be fine. So we're recommending approval.
Good. Any comment on that, Chief Simba?
No, Matt, that's what we discussed with Matt, so I'm all for it.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. Matt, if it wouldn't be too voluminous, what are the amended changes?
Yeah, there were several of them. Some of them that we could not accept. A lot of them had to do with more notification. Like if a child gets arrested, that we basically will agree to notify the superintendent You know, some of the language that we did not agree to was they wanted actually, like they wanted it to be mutually agreed upon. And in my discussions with the district solicitor, I said, first of all, you're not going to direct our police officers. And second of all, I don't think you want to do that because you're exposing yourselves to liability. So he agreed. So a lot of those changes really have to do with notification more than anything.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Are there any other questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Bekowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walk?
Yes.
All in favor.
Any other board members have anything for the good of the township?
You have a non-agenda resident.
Oh, that's right. So sorry.
Okay, Russ Verbanek, are you still in here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
Basically, I had a question about the sewer line. I know that the bids had come in. I was wondering, had the bids been awarded to any of the, which of the contractors? If not, when are the bids going to be awarded? And what's in general is the schedule going forward with this project for getting it done?
Matt, you want me to handle this or you want it?
No, I got, yeah, so the bids have not been awarded at this point. We are in the process of acquiring the necessary rights of way to lay the line. Those are nearing completion. We're hopeful to be able to award the bids maybe as soon as late this week, maybe next week, but they will be awarded shortly. We're hopeful. The project timeline and the project schedule remains the same. We're anticipating a start date of construction sometime this month with an end date somewhere around the middle of April. So that's, you know, or sooner. I mean, those are the extended deadlines with weather delays and everything else that we're anticipating. So sooner than April, hopefully, but certainly starting sometime this month.
Have the contractors been picked out that are going to be awarded the bids?
The bids are in, so we are waiting to acquire the legal rights of way before we award those bids. So yeah, the contractors and the bid numbers are actually in and they're sitting there. We have a 60-day hold period that we're allowed to hold those bids. So that's where we're at right now. And we certainly don't want to award them until we get the legal right to lay the pipe, right? So that's where we're at. We're getting those legal rights to the rights of way. And then once those are acquired, which again, we're right near the end of all of that, as soon as those are acquired, then we will award the bids. The bid contractor can then get their appropriate insurance and bonding in place, and we'll be issuing a notice to proceed and start the project.
Do the commissioners have to approve the awarding of the bids?
Yeah, so that's going to be scheduled on a special meeting as soon as we get the rights of way in place and as soon as possible. We want to get this, we need to get this project started as soon as possible. So at the earliest, we can schedule a special meeting to do that bid award. It will occur.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before we sign out here, I want to again thank Jessica Grunlin and the marvelous presentation, and thank you, Greg, for being so instrumental in pushing that forward. That's very exciting for our township. I'm going to ask the commissioners if there's anything else that they would like to bring up for the good of our township. Pretty good meeting tonight, guys. Thank you very much. It was long, but it was productive, and we got a lot of good information moved through. At this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Goodbye.